Marketer of the Day, number 435. The Art of Kickstarter Crowdsourcing. Build brand awareness and launch a campaign to get funding for your business idea with Roy Morejon. Hey everyone, and thanks for listening. We're talking right now with Roy Morejon, and Roy is the president of Enventys Partners, and he's the host of the Art of the Kickstart podcast. Roy has over 20 years experience in delivering integrated marketing services for B2B and B2C clients, helping transform companies by increasing online visibility and brand awareness through targeted digital marketing, corporate communications, and data-driven search marketing campaigns. Now, he's an expert at digital strategy, analytics, search engine marketing, and crowdfunding. So, Roy, glad to be talking to you right now.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to be here, Robert. Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you. And so before even getting into anything, what's your website? If people are listening right now and they kind of want to follow along as we're talking, what kind of web address should they just call up on their phone or their browser right now?
Yeah, so the corporation is Enventys Partners, ENVENTYS partners.com. And then the podcast that I run is artofthekickstart.com.
All right, great. EnventysPartners.com and artofthekickstart.com. And so, I mean, what's on your mind these days? What has you fired up?
You know, the amount of entrepreneurs coming to market is really exciting to us. You know, being the world's first, vertically integrated product development and crowdfunding digital marketing agency, we're able to take people's ideas from napkin sketches to all the way through production, prototyping, crowdfunding, marketing, and then success, once they bring the product to market. So, it's been a fun ride. Now that we've been doing crowdfunding longer than any other agency out there, we've seen the success that, some of these entrepreneurs can have with their ideas, with their passions.
Yeah, and I imagine that that's super fulfilling because you can kind of jump into all these different niches and maybe even live vicariously through some of these people who they have an idea, they don't know how to get it out there, how to make it, how to market it, and then you and your team kind of plan out a plan of action and make it happen. Sounds like lots of fun.
Yeah, it's exciting. We get hundreds of new ideas every single day that come in through, phones, emails, etc. People very passionate about their baby, right? Like, this is the greatest product on earth and everybody's going to want to need it. But, it's sometimes you have to tell these folks that their baby's a little bit ugly or it needs to be tweaked or, there may not be as big of a market as they may have thought. So, taking an entrepreneur, an idea person, a startup, wherever they may be, we have an opportunity to work with them at every phase. So it's certainly exciting. I know our staff loves it. It's something new every day.
Well, great. Sounds like a good time. So do you have any interesting stories of some of those clients that came to you? Maybe someone came to you with an idea and then you worked your magic and refined things and made it happen?
Yeah, one of our first $1 million campaigns that we did 4 years ago now was a product from an inventor down in Texas. And his name was Josh. And Josh came to us and he's like, hey, I've got this idea of making water balloons a lot faster than you currently have to do with your hands and tying them and stringing them all together. And Josh was a father of 8, so he down in hot Texas, obviously they want to have a lot of water balloon fights. And Josh was just tired of, the only solutions that were out there. Basically, he had to sit with a hose and a balloon and a bucket and not have fun with his children. So he created this idea and basically, really didn't have much budget to work with us, but we knew the idea was a hit, was going to be a big success. And the actual extent of that, we obviously didn't realize it now, but before I get ahead of myself, basically he came to us with a limited budget, said, this is my idea, this is my prototype, what can you do? And we were like, all right, we can, handle all of your marketing, set up all of your, your website, build up your database in terms of people potentially excited about this, other parents that are in your situation from around the world. We ended up launching his Kickstarter campaign in the middle of summer. I think it was in July or August. And it was an immediate success. We had raised over $100,000 from our community and from the community we built on the first 24 hours. From there, it was basically a snowball effect where, the Today Show called while we were on a conference call with him, and they basically flew him up to New York to have a water balloon fight with him and Carson Daly and Rockefeller Center, on day 3 of the campaign. And this is the first active Kickstarter campaign ever on national television. And the response was immediate. It brought in another $200,000 or $300,000 that day from having, a 2.5-minute segment on the Today Show. And then once that happened, it was Good Morning America, it was Sports Illustrated, it was Time Magazine, it was BuzzFeed, you name it, it was on every single media outlet. And, by the time that 30-day campaign ended, we were just under $1 million in terms of capital raise. I believe it was the 7th most backed campaign ever at the time. And once the campaign was finished, this is the fun part, where we had garnered enough media attention from around the world that one of the largest toy manufacturers in China basically gave him a licensing agreement that basically set Josh up for life to, be able to profit from his IP and his invention. So they've immediately licensed out the product. Bunch of Balloons was the name of the product. Surprised I didn't mention that earlier. And now you'll see it everywhere from, the Walmarts, the Walgreens, the Rite Aids, et cetera, on every single shelf every summer. And he's shipped now millions and millions of units of that to, families around the world.
Dang, that's super crazy. And now that the what's it called, the red car syndrome, now that you said this bunch of balloons, now I'm gonna always be on the lookout when I'm walking down the aisles of like Target or Walmart or something, and I'm sure I'm gonna see it at some point. And so do you think that is there something special that you and your team have that other people don't? Like, do you think there's a secret to your success why you're able to put out these Kickstarter campaigns that kind of build and build? Anything special that you guys do?
Yeah, there's a lot, Robert. I mean, from being the first agency out there doing it, we've learned year after year, project after project of, what works, what resonates with the crowdfunding audience. And to speak to the audience, it's such a small amount of people that are just not only familiar with Kickstarter, but have actually backed a campaign. I think Kickstarter stats are around 15 million people have only backed a campaign. And then out of that, less than 5 million have backed more than one campaign. So when you look at the overall audience size to which we're advertising or marketing campaigns to, it's a finite, percentage of people, and the majority of those being in the United States, but, globally it is extending in terms of the reach. So for us on the marketing end and the digital side of things, making sure that we reach as broad of an audience as we can to bring in those folks as a first-time backer. So we're seeing many of our campaigns have anywhere from 25, 35, upwards of 50% of the campaign being from a first-time backer. And it's very similar to when eBay first came out in the late 90s, of when you clicked on that place a bid, of that, kind of mystery of what's next, what happens, did I win it, did I get it, when does it come? It's not as accustomed to our marketing or our purchasing habits now with Amazon. When we click the buy now button, we know it's going to show up in 2 days. Crowdfunding, purchasing, and backing of a project is much different, so there's a little bit larger of an education curve, and that's one of the things that we excel at in terms of letting the potential customer understand that this is a crowdfunding product. It may take us a few months or maybe even a year to deliver it, but you're going to come along for that ride with the entrepreneur through their project updates and through their videos and through their social media and all of those other touch points that you may have with them along the way. So really it allows people to kind of sit shotgun for the entrepreneur's journey of bringing their product to market, many times for the first time ever. So for us internally, we're able to handle all of that communication, all of the communication channels that the customers, that where they need to be reached out to, whether that be on their social media sites, whether that will be through email, whether it's through the PR, and we're able to get our content in front of them on the sites that they're visiting daily. And just that holistic marketing message. We take brands from nothing to something, so many times we're building out their brand, we're writing their story, we're handling their social for them, because these are entrepreneurs, they're makers. They know what the product is and how to make it, but they don't know always how to speak to their consumers. And that's where we step in, and that's what we've had our expertise over the years.
Well, awesome. Well, that makes a lot of sense. And as you were kind of describing like the process and what happens, you made me realize that I myself have some gaps in my knowledge about this whole crowdfunding thing and Kickstarter in particular. So can you walk us through real quick and kind of tell us like how this Kickstarter thing works? Because like I have to admit, like I haven't actually like joined a Kickstarter or haven't paid money to one, but every now and then I see one and it's like, okay, well, we need to, like, here's our idea, here's the concept, we need to sell this many copies and or, this many, copies of the product, things like that. And then there's, like you said, there's those updates. So can you kind of, if someone has never seen or used Kickstarter before, can you sort of walk us through like what happens?
Absolutely. Yeah. So the purpose of Kickstarter is to be like this creative playground, if you will, where people launch their ideas, whether they be for, a new music album or a movie idea that they've always wanted to do, or, just raise $1,000 to build, custom cutting boards or whatever it may be. It's an opportunity for people to lay out their creativity and their product ideas and, either see success from their customers or their community of people that are willing to back it, their friends and family, or see great success with, raising millions of dollars, to which we've done over 20 times now for our clients. But basically, you put your idea out there. It allows you to get, feedback from customers that are potentially going to buy it, or if you tweak a certain thing, then they're willing to buy it. So really, it's a democratized way to get engagement on your idea, whatever it may be, typically on the product side. So here's my product idea, I'm launching it, here's what the specs look like, here's what the costs will look like if I manufacture it, here's all the prices associated with it. So Robert, I challenge you to go out and back your first campaign, go on there, shop, browse like you would do on an Amazon or something like that when you have a free 10 minutes. And, go by category. So if you're looking for something in technology before all of your friends get it, this is where all of the new technology launches from these, really interesting startups around the world. If you're looking for, new fashion or new shoes or new socks or, anything like that, this is the area where a lot of these products are launching at significant discounts because these startups need the capital to be able to produce their first run or produce whatever element it is. This is the final cash call that they have to get from their customer base and give you the product at a deep discount.
Well, great. So that's really good advice. So if we're looking to buy something anyway, or if we're kind of looking for something in a particular category, then we should go to Kickstarter because, it's probably even cheaper than it would be to buy at a store or Amazon anyway, because they're looking to get discovered and stuff like that. And I can't remember exactly is Kickstarter the one where if you pay money, but you don't actually have to pay the money until they get a certain number of backers or until the product is created? Like, how does that work exactly?
Yeah, so Kickstarter is unique where your credit card won't get charged until the campaign completes, and when it completes, only if it is successful. So they set, a terms in terms of, all right, for this campaign to be successful, if I'm the project owner, I need to raise X amount. And if and only if that campaign raises that amount at the end of the campaign does your credit card get charged. And that's where you kind of go into their system now of, okay, get me all of your shipping information or what size or what product do you want. Then you kind of go into their CRM and, follow along for the journey of, okay, we think we're going to ship this product in 6 months. Here's our timeline of deliverables in terms of getting X, Y, and Z set up, doing our quality assurance and testing, getting our packaging done, printing our labels, and then shipping it out to you, the customer. And Kickstarter kind of allows you to go along for that journey with the entrepreneur as they accomplish those steps, even during the campaign, but typically post-campaign success. And Indiegogo being the other major player in the reward crowdfunding space, that platform actually charges your card immediately once you place a bid on the project. The difference on Indiegogo is that they have two different types of funding for the project creator. Flexible funding, meaning that even if the campaign doesn't reach the goal, the campaign owner still collects all of the cash that was submitted to them. And then a fixed funding, which is the same as Kickstarter, it's all or nothing. If the campaign doesn't raise the capital they requested, then nothing gets charged.
All right, good to know. Well, thanks for the clarification. And so you mentioned, as we were saying the story about the bunch of balloons product, about how you and your team, like, you had the idea and you have all these ideas that you guys have to sift through. So how do you know if an idea is good or not? And I imagine you guys do some kind of research, but it sounds like a lot of these products that are created have really never been created before. So how does that work exactly as far as figuring out if something's a winner or not?
Yeah, almost everything on the platform is brand new, or at least one iteration better than what's currently on the market. So, given that we're getting hundreds of requests a day, we've built our own AI system to evaluate and score all of the product ideas that come in through our systems or phone calls, et cetera. So we've gotten really good over the years to understand and evaluate, the startup, the founder, the team. What does that look like? What's their innovation look like? Has it been done before? What are their price points? Can we help them with manufacturing or sourcing, or do they need a prototype being built out? What's their timeline look like? How much capital do they need to raise? A lot of these are kind of the top level elements that we look at before, moving them into the next phase in terms of, viability on a crowdfunding site, or, what we think we could raise from the crowd given previous campaigns that are out there, or the databases that we have that we think we can target and bring in more customers for them.
Okay, and it sounds like if someone's coming to you, it sounds like you want them to have their idea somewhat fleshed out or to have somewhat of a plan, as opposed to, hey, I thought of a cool way to make water balloons. You want them to actually have made a little bit of progress on their own. Is that about right, or on the right track?
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly the hope, but given our capabilities now, we are accepting a lot of ideas at the napkin sketch place, right? Where they come to us, they say, here's my designs, here's what I think it will do, here's what I think, what can you do with it? And that's where we leverage, our internal resources for product development, internally, that we have all the capabilities to be able to build these products for people and take them through a phased approach of, scaling it, seeing if the IP is out there, or if it's available, or if things are trademarked already, and navigate that path for the entrepreneur. Because many times this is their first foray, right? They've been watching Shark Tank for a decade and they're like, listen, I've had this product idea forever. I'm ready to go. I just want to test it and see. And many of those companies were actually able to take on and field all of the production costs for them and just pay them a royalty. If they don't want to set up a company or run anything, they enjoy their day job, whatever it may be, we're able to actually take the idea from idea to production, all at zero cost for them, and simply pay them out a royalty.
That sounds super great. And so that avoids the problem that a lot of people have, where they have a dream, they have a passion, they want to make this cool stuff, but then it turns out they realize, oh yeah, I have to learn all the stuff. I have to learn about, all the logistics stuff and the inventory and the shipping and the marketing, and I have to hire people. And next thing you know, like, there's no time left in the day for that passion that they originally jumped into. So that sounds super great. So when you and your team, you kind of you do this research and have this process, and you do these things. And what do you think separates the successes that you guys have with the failures of others? Like, is it just a matter of, like, people just don't have a good plan, or a plan in general? Like, why do some of these Kickstarters do super duper great and, go on the Today Show and go viral, and others just kind of fail? What happens?
Well, most of the ones that do great, Robert, hire us. But no, but a lot of these campaigns, the success is seen before the project ever launches. The work you do pre-campaign leads to almost 90% of all the success post-launch. And the pre-campaign is critical to the overall success of getting a product out there, getting people excited about it, build that groundswell of anticipation and wanting, an early bird reward where the product's discounted even more, to be one of those first backers. You want to get people as excited as possible and have the PR, surrounding it, have social media surrounding it, having all of your content and your video and your email marketing all around that. And that's why companies come to us months in advance of their campaign launch, because it's so critical to have that pre-campaign foundation as solid as possible before they click the go live button.
Awesome. And then as along the lines of that pre-campaign stuff, do you guys send a lot of outside traffic? Because sometimes, you'll see a Kickstarter page posted there, and it just seems to have a ton of traffic. And I always wonder, like, did they just have that good of a page, or did they run some ads ahead of time? Like, do you dump money into the pre-campaign to get more attention on the Kickstarter? Is that a thing that you guys do?
Yeah, so lead generation pre-campaign, is one of the main factors in terms of acquiring qualified customers and email addresses pre-launch. So many times it's done through a contest or a giveaway, or give us some feedback on this early prototype or early video, and we'll let you know when the campaign goes live first, so you can buy the product at the biggest discount that we're willing to do. Almost a break even. So we're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, sometimes a day, for our campaigns across the board. Just before this call, Robert, we were speaking with Facebook in terms of what we're doing with them directly to drive millions of dollars worth of traffic a month for them through Facebook, just because the targeting is so precise in terms of who we think the main customer is going to be for all of the different types of products that we're launching.
Okay, super great. And then so when you were so it sounds like you do all kinds of cool, fun stuff like these contests, these giveaways, and I'm curious, you had all these different clients, and have you ever had a campaign that was like super difficult or had unexpected problems or was just like a huge disaster, anything like that?
Yeah, we've certainly had a few campaigns go unsuccessful, but we always try and communicate clearly with our clients the entire way in terms of, well, it doesn't look like pre-campaign marketing is going well, our cost per acquisition is too high, what do you want to do? And we had a client that launched a few years ago with us a documentary that was really focused on an older demographic. And we, really tried to tell them that, this demographic isn't on Kickstarter. They're not backing projects yet. It's going to be really difficult to try and convert them. And, he wanted to give it a go anyway, against our best wishes. So we still launched the campaign, and, he had an extremely high funding goal because producing a documentary is certainly expensive. And he said, listen, if we don't hit this number, I can't make it, So we didn't want to set, a super low funding goal and then arbitrarily just take money from people and the product never get delivered. That's the last thing we want to do for all of our backers. So that campaign unfortunately was unsuccessful. We weren't able to find his audience and get them to convert on his campaign page. But, we fail upwards, right? We get all of these insights. We grow a community, a group, whatever it may be, of people that are passionate about the product that we're launching. So it's not a complete loss, and we have all of these learnings from it so that the entrepreneur can continue on and potentially adjust and pivot their product or their idea to fit what the crowd truly wants.
I love it. So that's a great way of looking at it. Even if in the worst case scenario, if that Kickstarter campaign doesn't work, you've still built the list. You can always try again. That's a great way of looking at it. And yeah, so like these different types of clients you have their own different sets of challenges. Like you said, if it's a documentary, maybe a bigger budget, or if it's like, creating a physical product, maybe there's money to be spent there. And so are there like specific categories where you guys really shine, or other categories that you guys tend to stay away from?
Yeah, so we stay away from documentaries now. But anything like the documentary side, the music side, those can be difficult. Anything in the arts and the creative side, dance and those sorts of things, we don't focus on that. In terms of our core competencies, it's certainly with hardware products. Anything that has a technical element to it, those can do extremely well with our help. Fashion, we just funded a high heel shoe company over $2 million called Antonia St. New York. And it's basically a custom molded high heel shoe. Did extremely well with our agency. So fashion we do well with. And then the design category. We just did a project for a foldable measuring spoon called Polygons that, again, has raised over, I think, 1.3 million for that campaign. So those are the main three categories that we typically play in and see the most success with.
Super great. So tech, hardware, fashion, and design. So this sounds like a lot of fun, both for you and for anyone out there who wants to turn their idea into a reality. So how can someone reach out? How can someone contact you guys?
Yeah, so we have, a request a quote form on our website, Enventys Partners.com. Basically fill in as much information as you can. Every single idea gets reviewed by a person and a bot at the same time. And then we have, different opportunities depending on what stage you're in with your idea or your prototype, or you may have an active campaign that needs help. We have opportunities to help out with our Facebook advertising and our PR services to be able to boost the viability and visibility of that campaign. So, please reach out. We try and help every single entrepreneur with whatever need case they may have.
Super great. And just to make sure that everyone has that web address, that is ENVENTYSPARTNERS.com. And so when they do reach out, Mr. Roy, like, is there any specific thing they should keep in mind or any specific information that they should send in there? Because like you mentioned that you get all these hundreds of requests a day. So is there anything they should be doing to kind of stand out from the noise?
Yeah, the more detail, the better. Let us know truly what phase you're in. Do you have a prototype? Do you have an idea? Is it just a napkin sketch? Where are you at? What have you built so far? And then really, what does it look like from a capital standpoint in terms of what you need and what you have? Many times there are startups that come to us with very little, and we're able to get them financing to be able to help bring their product to life. So the more detail you can give us when you fill out a quote, the better we'll be able to help you and expedite that process.
Super duper awesome. So EnventysPartners.com. Go there, request a quote, and then, like Roy said, send in the more detail, the better, and especially as far as capital and what you need and what you want. And go there, and you'll have a lot of fun, and you'll be glad you didn't get the ball rolling. So that way you don't have to just kind of go through things yourself. Because if you kind of go through it yourself and you don't know this Kickstarter stuff, you don't know this crowdfunding stuff, well then you're just going to be on the same level playing field as everyone else. So why not go with a team who knows it, who's done it? They do this all day long. They probably even think about this while they sleep, so that you can focus on what you do best and they can focus on what they do best as well. So go right now while it's still fresh on your mind, EnventysPartner.com. Click on that request a quote button and send them the information and get the ball rolling on whatever great idea that you have. And we hope to see you on Kickstarter soon, just as soon as you get to EnventysPartners.com. So thanks for stopping by, Roy, and sharing with us some great advice, some great do's and don'ts, and some great stories, so that we can all kind of get back to the marketing, the making money, and not get so lost in the details, not get frustrated, actually get some stuff out there, get some promotion, get the business growing, and have fun and make some money. So thanks for stopping by and for sharing some of that stuff.
Hey, my pleasure, Robert. Thanks so much.
Subscribe to us right now while it's still fresh on your mind at marketeroftheday.com/iTunes.